Dave Ramsey's lies about tax lien investing exposed here in this video, uncensored, raw, and live. There is a video of Dave Ramsey talking about tax lien investing. And today we are going to expose all of the points where he's wrong, because he says tax lien investing is a scam. It doesn't work. There's factual points throughout this video where he's just completely wrong and misleading his audience. So today in this video, in this live, if you're watching the replay, we're going to go through it point by point. We're going to break it down. We're going to expose it. We're going to even go through some of the comments on the video where people are like, dude, Dave, I like you. You're good, but you're way off the mark on this one. And that's kind of how I felt too. I was a little shocked and surprised to just see how far off the mark he is about tax lien investing. And if you know anything about tax liens, you can earn sometimes 18 to 36% through tax liens. It is an amazing investment model that's been around for 200 years. The counties rely on taxes to pay for everything. It's one of the oldest models of investing that's not going anywhere, and he just misses the mark. So today we're going to go through, we're going to react to the video. We actually did an earlier video, but this time we are live, and we're going to break it down step by step, a little more in depth. So if you want the truth about tax lien, you want to see us expose Dave Ramsey, that's what we're going to do here today. So it's Dustin Hahn, and this channel is here to help you invest in tax liens and tax deeds. And we're about to hit 100K subscribers. We have 3,600 videos, and we always give away the most information on tax lien investing there is in the marketplace. We're proud of that. That is below in the description. So today we're going to break it down step by step and really dive in to try to educate you on tax lien investing. But before we do, we're going to bring in the panel here. Mr. Josh Blanchard, Corey Chason. How you guys doing?
Yeah, hey,
howdy.
Thanks. Did a big run here today. So let's get into it. We're going to go through this video. We're going to walk through, and then we're going to stop for commentary along the way to break it down and go through it. So Corey, I'm going to switch the engines over for my audio. For those of you who don't know, Corey is an audio engineer who can walk anybody through any audio diagnosis here. So I'm not going to be able to hear you, so we can do a series of hand gestures, thumbs up, and that's, you know, this stuff is live because, hey, we're not perfect. Corey used to work construction. Josh and I used to work on the oil rigs, and we're pretty impressed with ourselves that we can even make things work on the internet. Okay, so here we go. We're going to watch this video live here together. I'm going to share my screen right now. Boom. We shall react to Dave Ramsey. And as we get going, if you have any questions, put them there in the chat. If you like this, thumbs up, and we will get to any questions. Let us know who's tuning in, what city and state you're in, because that helps us custom tailor the stream and look up some properties, which maybe we can do here a little bit later. So we got my screen share on. I'm going to switch the audio over, and then I'm going to pause it and switch back. Corey, give me a big thumbs up if you can hear.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
I have a very close son of mine who has done a lot of good work as an electrician, doesn't have a lot of debt, but he is asking about tax lien investing. I guess his goal is obviously to make some more money, but also to get into real estate, I guess a little easier in a way, but I just kind of wanted to know your take on tax lien investment.
Okay. He's asking you about it?
Well, so he's telling me what he's thinking about doing.
Okay.
How old is he?
He's 24.
Okay. All right. This falls in, I can explain to you what it is and how it works, and I'm happy to do that especially for the benefit of our audience. But let me tell you where he found it. He found it on TikTok with the get rich quick, easy, nothing down real estate people. Okay. That's where he found it. Because that's the only place anybody talks about this subject.
And they do it to get clicks and views because it sounds amazing and it sounds too good.
Or buy their course for $3,000 on how to get rich buying foreclosure real estate and doing tax liens. Okay.
Right.
And by the way, this is the same exact line they used. Wait a minute. Kristen, how old are you?
So I always find this super interesting as far as found it on TikTok. And guys, have you seen I don't know. I'm not even on TikTok that much, but when he talks about there's a lot of irony and nuance in this, because at the very beginning, the first thing Dave does is has like his course, his course advertised. So be aware of it. But the irony is it's such a legit business because it's been around for literally over 200 years. And banks are one of the largest investors in tax lien certificates. Like if you have money in the bank right now, there's a chance that your money sitting there is being used for tax liens. And when you scroll through the comments on this, you see a lot of comments. It's like Dave should admit when he doesn't know what he's talking about. Instead, he just made it super clear that he doesn't. Dave is wrong on the mortgage part. So we're going to go back and keep watching. Josh, any comment? Corey, you guys aren't TikTokers, are you?
No, I try to stay off TikTok, so I
No.
don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. So let's go back and continue the party here.
I am 43.
Okay. You're barely old enough to remember infomercials. You remember those?
I do.
Okay. It's the same line they were using back then. The only difference now is it's cool because it's on TikTok. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on Instagram and it's on whatever, but it's still the same genre of stuff. Can you buy a piece of real estate at foreclosure at a bargain? Yes. I used to do it for a living in my 20s. And I bought a lot of real estate since then that was distressed in one way or another at a deal. It is, however, one property out of 200. We consider 200 properties to buy one.
So Josh, he's talking about the premise of this is about tax liens. And then now he's talking about buying properties at a foreclosure auction and 1 in 200. So this is like where he basically derails the entire understanding of the business. He mixes up channels as far as what's what. So if somebody's watching this about tax liens, remember with tax lien investing, you don't own the property. You get a secured interest rate that's secured by collateral, which is the property. And then you get an interest rate when the homeowner pays you back. So Josh, when he's talking about here, 1 in 200 or at the foreclosure sale, what's kind of the first things that are coming to mind for you when that's mentioned?
Yeah, there's usually a lot more deals than that. It's definitely not that statistic, 1 in 200. That would mean that the majority of the properties at a tax sale are really bad or negative in that sense. And so when we go to Texas every month, let's say we're looking at 50 properties, maybe there's 2, 3, 4 that we would stay away from. And so that's very different than, 1 in 200. So the numbers are not accurate in our experience, which is pretty vast, that's just not the case.
Yeah, and right now he's already confusing tax lien investing with foreclosure investing. So we want to make that clear that they are two different things. When you buy a tax lien, you're basically lending the government money to have operational capital. And then from there, you deal with the county. And when the homeowner pays their late taxes, they give the government the money. The government gives you your principal plus the interest. And in the worst case scenario, you end up taking over the property if you don't get redeemed. And the actual numbers on this are basically 95% of the time they redeem, which means 1 in 20, you're going to end up owning the property for the price of the back taxes owed. And these auctions happen all the time. They happen monthly in some places, yearly in a lot. Half of the states are lien states. Half of the states are tax deed states as well. And, we have a directory on which of the lien states, which is below here for anybody who wants to maybe take a swing. That's always for free below in the description, as obviously we are for tax lien and deed investing here. And then Josh, maybe in a minute, we can share with them just some of the over-the-counter stories that you've been endeavoring on lately.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like I walked out my back door and the sun came out and I looked over there and there was a foreclosure and I bought it. It is actual hard work, expertise, needle in a haystack. Okay. Can you buy tax liens and turn them into real estate and into profit? Yes. the likelihood of your 24-year-old doing it is really close to zero. It's really complicated. It only works in a couple of states. Here's the way it works. Some states will sell, if someone's behind on their property taxes, the state or the municipality, the local village or city takes a lien on the property for back property taxes. They sell that to someone in some states. My state, they do not do that. You can't buy tax liens in Tennessee, okay? But so if I lived in Tennessee, I'd have to be buying them somewhere other than where I live. Problem number one.
Okay.
Problem number two is you're buying a tax lien. Okay, now let's say that you foreclosed on the tax lien and the people that own the property do not pay off the tax lien, and you end up with the property. The property is worth $250,000 and they have a $270,000 mortgage.
Okay.
You know what you got? Nothing, honey.
So this is where he's just once again totally going down the wrong track and really doesn't understand the business at all. Because when you buy the tax lien, you're not buying the property. You're literally just paying the taxes on behalf of that person. You're lending the government money. And when the property, say the homeowner doesn't redeem you, that's where you foreclose. And the tax lien is always the fundamental lien, which wipes out any mortgages or encumbrances on the property. So anything above it gets wiped out. It's a mortgage, a second mortgage, a mechanic's lien, anything like that gets wiped out.
Nothing. You got a $250,000 property with a $270,000 lien on it. You don't want that. It has no value. Okay. So you would have to find a.
So what he's confusing is a foreclosure sale with a tax lien sale. And a foreclosure sale is when you're actually going to bid and buy the property. And when you go to a foreclosure sale, if there is a first mortgage on that property, you're bidding on that first mortgage. But if there's a second mortgage, you're inheriting that as well. So a foreclosure sale doesn't wipe out the liens or mortgages. You inherit everything. Whereas with the tax lien, 95% of the time, you will get an interest rate, which is one of the big reasons why to play the tax lien game is to get the interest rate and then get the big home runs that wipes out the mortgage.
Property tax lien that is delinquent on a property that actually has equity. Oh, now we've really made this difficult. Oh, and wait a minute. Almost all of these states with property tax liens have a 2-year or a 1-year right of redemption. Now let's take this a step further. You find a piece of property, needle in a haystack, that actually doesn't have a lien on it, probably not in your state of Texas.
So when he's referring to the needle in a haystack, he just has so many concepts confused between tax liens and foreclosure sales and all that, because it's not a needle in a haystack. Places like Florida have monthly auctions, Arizona, all these are online, basically on a platter to go and buy. And then as far as the mortgages and things like that go, with tax liens, you don't necessarily have to worry about the mortgage, because guess why they redeem 95% of the time is because the mortgage company is redeeming the tax lien, because they know if they don't pay those taxes, they are going to get wiped out. Josh, any comments?
Yeah, it, we always want to go back to the law for sure on this. And so opinions, can be great, but anytime we do due diligence or research on a county, that's what we always go back to is the statutes. And so I wanted to just find really quickly where in the statutes, I just grabbed Arizona as an example, and it's extremely clear. One of the sections says, after entering judgment, the parties whose right to redeem the tax lien are thereby foreclosed have no further legal or equitable right, title, or interest in the property. And so anyone who has an interest in the property, they're sent notifications, and that's what ends up wiping their interest in the property. And so it's very surprising that he would talk about this with such boldness when it is not in the law. It's not in the statutes. When you read the statutes for yourself, and it would be the same, any tax lien state, any tax deed state, it's going to say that the interested parties, their interest is wiped. And so there's very few things that won't get wiped, things such as easements, for instance, easements that have just been passed down from the beginning of the deed. But that's what we're always referring to. And that is what always has protected us. Even when we're talking to the county is also, susceptible to giving us wrong information or misinformation. And so this isn't uncommon in this space because the laws are different from state to state. And then occasionally the county will even tell us something that is not correct. And so that's why we're always going back to the statutes. We're going back to the law. That is what protects us and guides us. And that's what our channel, our business has been based off of, is the law, not opinion. So I think it's just, there's so much to say, but that's what I got for now.
Nice. Back to the show.
Pretty sure Texas does not sell them. And so then you've actually buy this $250,000 property. Maybe it's only got a $100,000 mortgage on it. Now you've got $150,000 in equity, but you got to pay the $100,000 mortgage to keep the property that you just became the owner of, or they'll foreclose on you.
So his wires are just so crossed in general. Like, remember, half of the states are deeds, half of the states are liens. And it's not even that he's mixed up tax liens or deeds. He's almost like mixed up foreclosure auctions with tax liens and deeds mixed in along the way. Because remember, with tax lien investing, you're getting an interest rate. You're not buying the property, but you can get a big home run if the tax lien doesn't redeem. And that's going to be 5% of the time, which means 1 in 20 tax liens, you will be able to foreclose and get the property, and it will wipe out the mortgage if there is a mortgage. So he's confused on so many different levels, and we just wanted to do a bit more of a deep dive because we did do another video on this a bit earlier, but this time we're doing it live, and we will go a bit further once this little video is over.
Follow me?
Oh, wow. Okay.
This is a problem.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you become the owner of it, but the old guy that didn't pay his taxes has 1 year or 2 years to come back and redeem it by paying the taxes plus 10% or 15% interest. So you can do absolutely nothing with that property except pay this mortgage payment for the next 1.5 to 2 years, and you're 24 years old. This is suicide.
So he's just so confused. Let's say it's $100,000 house. The tax lien for that year is $1,500. You would buy the tax lien, and you're making your interest on that tax lien 5%, 10%, 15%. And what's nice is that it is a passive investment. Like, it's a hands-off residual interest rate, and it is secured by collateral, which is the house, which is what makes it nice for investors who maybe don't want to get their hands dirty and get in, dealing with tenants and trash and termites and all of that, which is super nice. You're not owning the house, and in the small chance it doesn't redeem, that's when you take over the house and you basically get the house mortgage free.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Can it be done? Yeah, you need a real pile of money, a lot of patience, a lot of expertise, and the ability to do a lot of work to actually find this needle in a haystack. And so can you do it? I've actually bought 2 of these in my life. I've owned about 2,000 pieces of real estate in my life, and I have actually bought 2 of these. And as you can tell, I've done it. I know how it works. It's a freaking nightmare. I'm not buying one ever again.
Haven't done it since.
No, thank you. Too much trouble.
I
Too much
did look
risk,
it up, Dave.
Too much time frame. I hope I explained it well enough that it.
But it's interesting when he says too much risk, because it's literally one of the most, or one of the lowest risk investments out there. As long as you're confirming it's a house and it's in good standings, in a good spot, it's not burnt to the ground. It's very low risk because the property taxes are a fraction of the value of the house. And the worst case scenario is if they don't pay you back, you foreclose and get the property. Worst case scenarios, even if the house burns to the ground, often the lot and the land can still make you money, which is why it's a great investment.
It sounds like a barrel on a fish hooks, George.
So Texas has redeemable tax deeds. So it's different than, you're right, you can't buy tax liens. You can get these redeemable tax deeds. And you're right, there's a redemption period. They can come back.
Okay,
The house is probably disrepair.
They do sell the deed then.
So it's a little different.
But it does not clean the title, people. Meaning if there's a mortgage on it, it stays there. Proper.
Once again, totally wrong. That gets wiped out. Josh, can you comment on that one?
Yeah. So, I mean, everyone who has an interest in the property is going to get wiped out. I think that what may have happened, and this is entirely possible, is that, and he's in Tennessee, so it's a redeemable deed state. It's just a 1-year redemption state. But it's entirely possible that a friend of his went to like an HOA, bought an HOA sale property in either Texas or Florida. And so an HOA sale is at a tax sale, but it's not a tax sale property. It's not the taxes, the city or the county is not foreclosing on the property. It's the HOA. It's that lien holder in that sense. And so sometimes you're going to see other kinds of properties like that at a tax sale too. And it's not a tax sale. So if anybody else is foreclosing, if it's the bank, that's a mortgage foreclosure. If it's the HOA, that's an HOA sale. If it's just a lien holder, probably a judgment. And so these are all different kinds of sales. And so maybe somebody bought an HOA sale at a tax sale, and that's where the mortgages do not get wiped. And those can be a nightmare if you don't know what you're watching out for, what you're looking for. And so maybe somebody went to an HOA sale at a tax sale, or they bought an HOA sale property at a tax sale, and it was a nightmare. And they told Dave about it and said, "Hey, Dave, I went to this tax sale and this has been the worst property ever. I bid it up to like $100,000 and there's a $300,000 mortgage. It's not going to get wiped. Now they're trying to foreclose on me." And so that would just be a mess. But that's the only time that the mortgage would not be wiped, or in the small instance or small chance that the county made a huge mistake and they didn't notify the lender, because you can't wipe someone out without giving them the right to protect their interest. Because it would be very strange for a $2,000 tax lien or a $2,000 opening bid tax deed property to go to an auction and wipe out like a $300,000 mortgage. Why would a mortgage company allow that to happen? And so they wouldn't. They would protect their interest unless there was something wrong. The county made a huge mistake. And in a lot of those instances, because that would be such a massive mistake on their part, they would most likely reverse the sale or something like that along those lines. But that's really the only time a mortgage would not get wiped, because the county made a mistake, and they would most likely just reverse the sale.
Nice, Josh. I think you what do you call it? Triangulated perhaps the reason why this video is so wrong is maybe he did think he was going to a tax lien sale, but didn't do any research and didn't realize at the time of the tax lien sale, the homeowner association was also having the sheriff auction off their delinquencies as well, which perhaps could be, but in that situation, he literally went in blindfolded, having no idea what was going on and just dished out money. We give these examples of stories all the time on these lives where we see people get destroyed at auctions because they think they're buying a tax sale property, but it's not. It's a different auction altogether. So yeah, definitely some misinformation here. We'll land the plane and then we'll open it up, see where everybody's tuning in from, and continue our party.
Property tax foreclosures in 0 states clean the title. If a first mortgage forecloses, the second and third mortgage are now wiped out. It cleans the title. You get a clean title. If you buy a foreclosure in a second mortgage position, you inherit the first mortgage. If you buy a property at a tax lien sale or create a tax lien sale, you inherit all the mortgages, including the IRS liens from the goober who also didn't pay his IRS taxes.
So yeah, just completely off the mark as far as when you don't buy a property at a tax lien sale, you are buying the basically lending the government the money for the taxes for that year, and then the homeowner pays back the taxes plus an interest rate. And he got his facts confused, kind of right on the sense of like, okay, if you buy at a foreclosure sale a second mortgage, you inherit the first. He is talking about liens getting wiped out, which if you know how that works at a foreclosure sale, it helps you get a good deal. But part of the reason why tax liens are awesome is because if they don't redeem you and you foreclose, that's the priority lien. It wipes out the mortgages, which makes it good.
Because he didn't pay his property taxes. You think these things might walk hand in hand? You can bet they do.
I'm guessing the house could be in disrepair as well.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we haven't paid any of our taxes or our mortgages, and we're so far behind that. And then I'm going to sit there and maintain the house, pay all these bills for 2 years, and then he can come back and
so once again, he's almost mixing up so many things. He's mixing up redeemable deeds with foreclosure auctions. He's mixing up just so many things. And remember, with a tax lien sale, most of the time they can be in great shape. The homeowner stays in there the whole time. They're taking care of the property, which is why they usually redeem.
Redeem the thing for 10 cents over what I paid for it. No, thank you.
And if this was a money-making scheme, there's going to be banks, hedge fund managers, real estate investors with deep pockets going after these.
Now,
So you've got some competition.
it's been going on for years. People, I will say again, it is possible to go down this rabbit hole and get out with a handful of money. But it's
Juice ain't worth the squeeze.
it's a 24-year-old got on TikTok and thought he found a way to make easy money. And I'm just here to say, no. You'd be better off delivering pizza. You'd end up.
Maybe the pizza guy who delivers extra like weed brownies that makes a ton of money. Those guys sometimes I heard can make a lot of money. Don't go do that. But that's my comment there. But you can see even in the comments, people are like, my understanding, the mortgage wipe out. I bought several tax deeds. I've made great profits. Dave is right about needle in the haystack. Do your research. It can be very lucrative. So let's see. I'm 32-year-old watching this. No TikTok. Been buying liens occasionally for 10 years. With great respect, this is not accurate. So, be obviously careful as far as when you're online looking at this stuff. We did another video on this a bit earlier, but we just wanted to revisit it because lots of people mention it. So, maybe let's open it up. Corey, let's put you on the spot there. Anything stand out there as far as chiming in?
Yeah, I mean, I like Dave Ramsey. I wish I would have read his book years ago, but he takes very hard stances on things. He thinks credit cards are of the devil and you shouldn't have any of them. But you also have to remember when you watch stuff like this, and this is true for any video on the internet, is these people come at this from a perspective, and he's talking to people who are like severely in debt, like crazy in debt, and that's his whole business, is getting people out of debt, and that's what his books are. The one I read anyway, it's like how to get severely, if you're in debt, how to get out of debt quickly. And so he's coming at it from that perspective. But yeah, the things he said, I think the title one's funny, and he's like almost right on some of his points, but then also so far off on other ones. So you could easily watch that and get confused and think that what he said is true, because it kind of sounds right. But I would just point you back to start with here. This is a great book to start with, the ABCs, but we also do teach you how to do it safely. And that's the whole point, is you want to learn how to do this so that you can find good deals at properties and not get burnt. In the examples that he's probably thinking of, it can be avoided if you know what you're doing. And we get people who come to us and who want help and mentoring after they've done exactly what he said and bought a deal at, like, let's say an HOA sale, or maybe there's something it was a different sale. It was a foreclosure sale and they thought it was a tax sale. And so, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of respect for Dave Ramsey as a whole, but he's missed the mark on this video.
Way off. He's so confidently man, it's pretty crazy. Very confidently off the mark. So we wanted to review that. But now we can take some questions, get into some things. Let's see who's tuning in here. Welcome everybody. Welcome Mega. Yeah, we don't have your name. Uncle Billy's tuning in. Good to see you here. Anna, familiar face. Sarah, good to see you. Welcome Otis up there in Canada. Excellent. Good to see everybody here today. Let's see here, Josh, we've got a question rolling in. What credentials do you need to look for a real estate attorney to see if they know how to give you a title on a tax lien property from a buyer who is thinking of putting a mortgage on it? So once again, that's a little bit of a confusing question, which you can see wires getting crossed if you watch Dave's video.
Yeah,
as far as that goes. Josh, maybe if you could dig into this one. I just want to give a little bit of context of why tax liens and deeds are a good business, is because it can be confusing, right? It can be confusing. And what we're here to show you how to do is how to read the Rosetta Stone of tax liens and deeds, because every county is going to be a little bit different when it comes to understanding it. So we want to give you guys the baseline skills. So like the way Josh just pulled up the statutes, so that you can go pull up the statutes and see how it works there. So that's why always below this, we always give away the ABCs of tax lien and deed investing as a starter kit for everybody. This is what we use when we go to auctions, and it has all of the contact information for everything as well. So if you're going to a tax lien state, you know, maybe you're in good old Illinois and you're in Platte or Rock Island, you call them up, you get the statutes, you read how it's done, and you verify for yourself how it's done. And that's what we're here to show you guys how to do. So that is below. Josh, can you maybe dive into that question there and help her get some wires straightened out?
Yeah. I mean, so this even goes back to one of the comments that David said. And David said that you don't get clear title. But then he continued on by saying that all of that stuff doesn't get wiped. And so the thing is that it does get wiped, but it's not going to happen on its own. The only way that it's going to happen on its own is through time. And when I say time, that could be like 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, which is a really, really long time. So that's what would naturally occur without doing anything. And so for a tax deed sale, or after you convert a tax lien to a deed and now it's deeded in your name, the title company is going to look at that and they're going to say, we don't have a release for this mortgage, which makes sense, right? Because the mortgage company isn't just going to file a release and say, hey, this $100,000 mortgage is now wiped out. They're not going to do that. The IRS isn't going to say this lien, this federal tax lien has been paid. They're not going to issue a release for that. Nobody's going to issue a release for those items and those things. Yet at the same time, they are wiped. We should probably just say too, a quick tangent on the IRS is that there's a difference between federal law and state law. And so state law will not actually wipe out the IRS, but federal law will. And so if you look at the California statutes, it'll say the California tax sale does not wipe out an IRS lien, but federal law grants them 120 days. And if they don't redeem, then it goes away. So that's where it can be a bit confusing because you have to put both of these things together. But the IRS law does clearly state that. So going back, none of those things get automatically wiped. And so how do we then move things so quickly? And that's through a quiet title action or tax title services. And so tax title services is the quickest and fastest way that you can get a clear title on a property and have a warranty deed. And from a warranty deed, now a lender will have confidence to put a mortgage on the property. Here's an example though, because if a lender looks at your deal and they say, okay, we'll give you like 65% LTV, meaning if the house is worth 100 grand, we'll give you $65,000. But if this is a tax sale property, they look at the title and they say, we can't see what's what. We can't tell if these liens are extinguished or not. They don't show up as being extinguished because that wouldn't happen after a tax sale. Something needs to happen, right? Something needs to take place, which is the quiet title action or tax title services. And so lender is not going to feel confident to give you money on a property because it may be underwater. If they see an IRS lien for $300,000 and the house is worth 300 grand, it's going to look underwater. And so that's where you have to go ahead and cure those title defects and prove and show that your interest is superior. And so that's what has to be done on all properties unless you just sell them as is from tax sales. And so the only way that this could happen where a buyer could put a mortgage on it is that you need to use tax title services or the quiet title action, and then you'll be able to do so.
Nice. Excellent question.
Oh,
Good.
so maybe just going back, yeah, a real estate attorney would have to do the quiet title action, but just go to tax title services. That's where you want to go. If anyone can do it, they're going to be the cheapest, quickest, fastest, best.
Let's see. Dust on the Bottle. Great song. David Lee Murphy, country singer. Good song. Corey, you know that one?
I don't think so, but
That's a good song. 90s
Yeah.
country music. Dust on the Bottle.
Ooh, that's the best.
Yeah. So let's see. They tried to book a call. So what we do here, we have a few options for people. On the channel, we try to give away as much free information as possible to help everybody get started and make tax liens and deeds accessible to people who want to get into this business. So always below in the description, we give away the mini course to help you get started, which has the directory. It has everything you need to get started. You can go find the details, call up the county, visit the websites. And then from there, with the book, it has all of the instructions, step by step, totally free, in the description below. And we also do other things where we give away all that information. And full transparency, this is also a business for us. So if you ever want to come join us at a tax deed sale, or maybe you want us to help, we build custom AIs to help people do this much quicker. And maybe later this week, we'll do some AI demo. And we have people come join us at auctions. So if you want help finding auctions, finding properties, or joining us at an auction, there's a link also below where you can schedule a call in the description. So it should be there. You can go into that link, and then you'll be able to schedule a call and be in good shape. Let's see. Average cost and time to clear title. Josh, did you just cover that one?
Yeah. So if tax title services can't do it, there's like a few places that they can't, or if they just are unable to do it, they all at first they're going to look at the deal. Most of the time they can do it, and so they can do it quickly. They can do it in about 30 days. We've used them many times. Last time we used them was in Arkansas. 30-day turnaround, which is phenomenal. So if you can't use tax title services, then it's going to, and it's like $2,100 with tax title services. If you can't use tax title services, then it's going to be a quiet title action, which would probably be 3 to 5K, and that could be 6 months up to a year. And so if you could say the more stuff that there is on title, so if you've got a lot of interested parties, if anybody tries to fight you on it, that could slow things down, which would also then take more money. But a lot of the times, these properties, if they've been delinquent for like 3 to 5 years, there may be nothing really else on title, just the homeowner, which would be easy. That would be pretty quick. But let's say there's a will with a whole bunch of interested parties, and you've got maybe a private lender, like a lien holder or something, or a whole bunch of liens. Yeah, it's going to get wiped, but if someone put up a fuss or a stink, it could slow you down. So budget $2,000 for tax title services, and then 3 to 6 for a quiet title action through an attorney.
Maybe we roll that into this one.
Great, yeah. Serious Sarah. So if I was going to resell on seller financing, can I chance it will quiet on its own after 5 years or so? Just don't want to spend more clearing title than I paid for the property. Yeah, that's a great question. That's a good point. And so when you're dealing with lower value items, or like lower value parcels, for instance, like pieces of land, we would always recommend that you just try to sell it as is. And the reason you could do that is because there's less risk. If you're selling for something for 5, 6, 7, 8 grand, there's less risk for a cash buyer than if you're selling something for $100,000. And there's also a lot of times people just sell land as is through a quick claim deed. So people will buy things as is. And it's great that you bring up the seller financing. And so we've done seller financing before where there was still a mortgage on the property. And so we bought a property from someone for $1, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool trick. So it's $1 out of our pocket. And now we are making payments on the mortgage. And then we sold it to somebody else. And so they don't have clear title, but they were fine with that arrangement, and it was seller financing. And so we couldn't even get clear title in the moment because we'd have to actually pay off that mortgage before doing so. So we're doing seller financing as is. And so you could do that with a tax sale property too, as is. And then in 3 years, the mortgage is paid off. They get the property in 5 years. And so then everything is going to be fine and cured. But there is a little bit of risk with pushing that down the road, because let's say there was a potential issue, you're not going to know about it until later. And so my recommendation would be that you get a title search done right now so you can make sure that there's no red flags or no issues. And then if there are none, down the road, things should naturally cure on its own. But we are not lawyers. We are not, whatever that, the thing is.
Yeah.
That would just be our insight and input. And we have done, seller financing before, but I would recommend getting that title search, $200, $250. And then that would give you peace of mind. And then if you don't see anything, 5 years should be fine.
Excellent. Good stuff. Good questions. Let's see. Ultimate budget. Where can I find great deals in Cook County? Have we been to Chicago sales?
It's been a while. We could probably show this real fast, I bet.
Take a quick look. Guys, I might hand off. I got to jump to a meeting. Can I hand it over? We wrap on the Cook County.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
We got you covered.
Shall hand off. See you soon, guys.
Yeah. Don't end the stream. Just.
Oh yeah, I'll just close her out.
I'll remove you.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So there's the Cook County Treasurer. And so I see that they do an annual sale and a scavenger sale. I think we mentioned we have talked about this before, how anytime you can find an additional sale that is not the regular tax sale, that's where you can find some serious gold. What I mean is that we highlighted a few weeks ago, Vanderburgh County in Indiana. Last year they sold property for $1. Insane. We highlighted it last year. This year they sold property like parcels for $280, $300. Still insane deals. That was not their regular tax sale. That was a third-party tax sale done through attorneys. So Vanderburgh, Indiana's tax sale with the county, which is the regular sale, is now coming up. And so a lot of people didn't know about that secondary sale. They thought that secondary sale was the tax sale, but that's not the case. It's in addition to. And so Cook County does the exact same thing with the scavenger sale. And so you've got the annual tax sale and the scavenger sale. And so what makes it a bit tough, if you're looking to be able to do this business full time, is that if you are in Cook County and they have the tax sale, if you just stepped into the tax lien, tax deed space today, for instance, let's say this is your first day and you do live in Cook County, the sale was it was August 2025. So it was, my bad. There was, you know what? I don't know when it was, but the next one is March 2026. So if today is your first day, the next sale is March 2026. So it's like you got to kind of sit around. And so that's where looking at other counties around you can be really helpful. Counties next door, you can be doing this remotely, or looking to see if there are additional sales like that secondary sale that I mentioned that happened in Vanderburgh, Indiana with the attorneys. So that's where you want to go ahead and look for the scavenger sale. Looks like they're only held at the direction of the Cook County Board. The other thing too is that you want to go ahead and see if they have any over-the-counter tax liens. So we've been finding a lot of over-the-counter tax liens this year, and not everybody is into tax liens simply because of the redemption period. But the thing is, there are some incredibly lucrative deals out there for over-the-counter tax liens, and we've highlighted a lot in Maryland. We showcased West Virginia. I think I saw a comment here about someone being in West Virginia. We've highlighted some over-the-counter tax liens in West Virginia, and a lot of these you could foreclose on in 1 year, as little as 1 year, 2 years, which is not that long. And for these properties, you're just simply putting up the back taxes, which is amazing. So that might be 1%, 2%, 3% of the value of the property. If there's some kind of exemption on the property, that could mean that the taxes are even lower. I found an over-the-counter today. I won't say where, but the property is worth like $890,000. The taxable value is like $125,000 or something like that. So there's a whole bunch of exemptions, and so the tax lien is like $3,000, and that's going to get you a seat at potentially, mind you, very unlikely, but potentially that in 2 more years, they don't pay the taxes. I don't know what the situation is. Maybe they're healthy and fine. Maybe something happened. Maybe they moved. I'm not sure, but they haven't paid the taxes for the past 2 years. And so it's like $3,000 to get access to a property, that has a value of $890,000 or something like that. So it's absolutely wild. And of course, if it redeems, you get that interest, which is great. But there's deals all over the place and they're everywhere. And so that would be my recommendation about the Cook County thing, is that even though the sale is not happening till March 2026, go ahead, see if they have any over the counter from from this year, and even years before, stuff that's ready to be foreclosed on right now. That would be awesome. Look out for the scavenger sale. You can always be checking deals around you. The other day, we highlighted a Zeus auction, and there was an auction like 2 weeks ago that had like $6,000 over-the-counter parcels. There's just so many over-the-counter parcels. And also on the live stream last week on Thursday, we were all at Dustin's on Thursday. We had highlighted how you can be calling these counties that have auctions, right now, and be getting tax liens or tax deeds that are over the county before anybody else does. Okay. CA, great question. When a tax lien is purchased, how does the buyer protect themselves if a property was to burn down? Good question. Good question. Good question. Okay. So this is key. This is really important. Whenever you buy a tax lien, you have to treat yourself like you are. Let's just start that comment over. Okay. Whenever you come to a tax lien, first, how long in the future until I can redeem? So if it's 5 years, which is crazy, I think that's Wyoming, maybe 4 or 5. If it's 5 years away, you have to act a little bit like you're a fortune teller. What could go wrong in the next 5 years? What could go wrong in the next 4 years? If the redemption period is 3 years, what could go wrong in the next 3 years? Here's an example. You find a tax lien on a property that's vacant. It's already got grass that's like 6 feet high. And if you're going to foreclose on that property in 2 more years, you just have to think about the natural occurrence of events. What's going to naturally happen? That grass will continue to grow. The county will come and cut it. They're going to then put a lien on that property. So if that lien is $3,000, you have to think, okay, 3 years from now, from this date right now, how many times am I going to get hit with these liens? Because it's not like you could cut the grass, but you may not get the property, right? And so the thing is you got to think about the future and what could go wrong. And so you do not actually own the property. You just simply have paid the taxes and you own a tax lien, which only is going to get you interest. And that only becomes powerful after the redemption period ends and you go ahead and foreclose. So up until then, you're assuming risk. And so it's got to make sense. So it would make sense if you're buying a tax lien for $1,000 for a house that's worth like 150. It's like, that's awesome. If you get some grass liens, if there's some municipal liens, because those generally will not get wiped. If they accrue, you want to make sure that you've got enough, margin there that's no problem. But yeah, so if a house burned down, that would be a huge problem. And so the house burns down or the county demolishes the house, which would be worse because now you're actually going to be on the hook for money. So they demolish the house, and then in 2-3 years, you go ahead and foreclose. They don't wipe out their own interest most times. Then you can see how that could go wrong. And so a lot of times we're just buying these with numbers where even if there was no house there, we're good. We're still winning. So let's say you're spending $3,000 and the land is worth 30 grand. So it's like in the worst case scenario, if the house is demolished or if it's burnt down, we're good. We're protected. But this is like pretty rare, so it's not rare for nuisance abatement, weed, things like that, weed liens. That's not super rare. But the other stuff, yeah, that's pretty rare. But you just got to go ahead, think ahead. It's not a bad idea to keep tabs. So we've got one. So we buy a lot of tax liens sight unseen, but we're trying to foreclose on one right now, and it's got a house on it. And if that house was to disappear, we're fine. We're buying the tax lien based on the value of the land. So we're into it. I think it's going to be like $800 times 3, so like $2,400 more or less for the whole thing. Foreclose on it. The land itself is worth like 24 grand. So if that parcel was going to disappear, we're okay. So that's really the most aggressive way to think about it. But that kind of takes the risk into it. Yeah.
That's good. Why don't we land the plane, Josh? I think.
Yeah. So how do you protect yourself? You just have to make sure it works. The numbers work.
Nice. I think this was a hilarious one. I love Dave, but I'm glad telling people this because there's less competition. Good one, Seth. Great.
That's true. Tell all your friends it's a scam.
Yeah. David Space. That's great, guys. Well, Dustin always does a great job of ending these, but normally we just want you to know that we've got a lot of stuff available for you for your further education. So we do have the ABCs of tax lien investing. It's actually just a link now. One of the persons said they couldn't get it to their email. If you just opt in again, just go to the page, link below, put in your email. You'll actually get just taken to a page where you can just download it. It has this guide and the background and the National Tax Lien Deed Directory all in one. So it's really easy PDF. So you can grab that. And then we also do have, if you want further coaching training, we take people to Texas. We do virtual auctions. You can book a call with us in the description with the link in the description below as well. So that's really great there. And also, finally, one last thing is we're almost at 100,000 YouTube subscribers, which is crazy. So if you don't like us and you want more content kind of delivered directly to your YouTube, if you thumbs up and like and subscribe to our channel, you will get the YouTube algorithm will preference that. It'll be you'll see our stuff more easily. And so we're always going live. Sometimes we're on time. Sometimes we are close to being on time. And but Tuesdays and Thursdays we try to bring you guys great stuff. And so just like and subscribe. It would really help us out. It gives us the juice we need to keep doing these videos for you for free. And then if you do want actual in-depth training and coaching, then you can click the link below and book a free call, and we can go over what would be best for you. So that being said, any final words, Josh?
That's a beaut. That's a wrap.
Great. Awesome. Everyone will have a great rest of your Tuesday. The official start of fall is now, well, a couple days ago, but yeah, hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you guys and gals all on Thursday. All right. Peace.